The winning blueprint presents.
While you're here, go ahead and sub up.
For those of you who don't know, I'm Lou, your host of the football program in the lab room, here simply talking football. Watched a couple of preseason games over the weekend, and I jotted down some notes while I was watching, and I'm here to talk about the St. Louis Rams in their matchup versus the Cleveland Browns. Rams were on the road, traveled to Cleveland to take on the Browns, and I'm not going to be long-winded, going to get right to the point, talk about what I saw, and really give you a sense of how I feel about the performance of the St. Louis Rams in their first preseason game. So let's get right to it. First things first. Rookies T.J. McDonald and Alec Ogletree starting. And that was the first thing that I noticed in this game. You got two rookies out there on the defensive side of football. So Jeff Fisher adding more young, hungry talent to this already young defense. And so I like the additions of these players to this defense. Want to see how they pan out. Michael Brockers looks to be in great shape. And I thought that he was a guy that came along slowly last year. I saw flashes of why they drafted him so high, but he looks to be in magnificent shape. Looking for big things from Michael Brockers in 2013. I looked at Richardson, and he got the start in the backfield. And there's been a lot of talk about Jeff Fisher employing a three-back system with Richardson and Stacy and Isaiah Pede. And Richardson started the game. That tells me that he really likes Richardson and what he can bring. And we saw that a lot last year, that he was comfortable with Richardson being in the game. And so he's going to be the guy that I think gets the most carries for this football team in 2013. Roger Saffold goes down with an injury. If you're a Rams fan, you do not want to see that. You finally get Roger Saffold in a position where you think he could finally be productive on the right side at right tackle. He goes down with an injury. I don't think it's serious, but you never can tell with some of these injuries. And so we'll see how this pans out for Roger Saffold. So we move on to Sam Bradford, who I thought really played well in this game, better than the stats would indicate. He hung in the pocket on the first third down of the game under heavy blitz and found Chris Givens for a 20-yard gain. A couple of things from this play that stuck out to me. One, offensive line is immensely better. You draft a couple of guys, you add tackle Jake Long to left tackle, and all of a sudden this offensive line is light years better than it was a season ago. Second thing I took from that play, Sam Bradford trusts in this offensive line that, hey, we're better. You guys aren't going to let me down. I don't have to worry about getting clobbered. I can hang in the pocket, survey the field, and find the open receiver. He trusts his offensive line on this play, something he hasn't done throughout his career, and for good reason. You can't trust guys who continuously allow you to be battered and bruised. He has confidence that this line is going to protect him up front, and it was showing on this particular play. Isaiah Pede fumbled on the first carry. Look, if you want the football in a Jeff Fisher coach system, you can't fumble the football. And that's on any team in the National Football League. You can't turn it over, especially for Jeff Fisher. Isaiah Pede wants more carries. He wants more touches. Can't fumble the football. He did it on that play. That's not going to bode well for him if he wants more touches on the offensive side of the football. Look at the linebackers, and I felt like they were getting work in this game. Look at Alec Ogletree, and I felt like the Rams said, hey, buddy, we drafted you to be a weak side linebacker to run around the field like a safety, like you were in college at one point. We're looking for you to run around and cover guys out of the backfield, cover tight ends. We're looking for you to use your athleticism to our benefit. And he was out there in space a lot in this game. And so to me, that's an indication that the Rams are going to have this guy in coverage quite a bit in 2013. He was beat on a couple of plays, but he's also going to make his fair share of plays as well. I thought Ogletree was everywhere on the field. You look at Jolon Dunbar, and I thought this guy was really on the interior of this defense, plugging up the hole, making plays. Really like what Jolon Dunbar is doing. I really like this linebacking core as a whole. When you get Laurinaitis back, I think this is going to be a really strong group on your defense in 2013. Look at Tavon Austin. Let's talk about him for a second. This is a guy that I think is all world. Traded up in the draft to get him. And he drops the pass on third down and stopping a drive in its tracks. Let's break this play up though. Offensive line really held up on this play. Once again, Sam Bradford hung tough in the pocket. This was an all-out blitz on this play. I mean, the Browns came with about 7 or 8 guys on this play, it seemed like. They came with the kitchen sink. And it was basically man-to-man coverage everywhere else. And I thought the line did a fabulous job of giving Sam Bradford more than enough time to find Tavon Austin, who was not open, but Sam Bradford gave him a catchable ball and he did not make the play. And he was relatively quiet. I was very disappointed with Tavon Austin. Where was he at? Look, this is a guy that you got to get the football to, get it in his hands and allow him to work. Of course, it's the preseason. You don't want to tip your hand. But man, where was this guy at? I mean, he was on some milk carton status. I had Rams fans asking me, why didn't he play in the game? Why was he hurt? What's going on with him? I'm like, he's not hurt. He just didn't do anything. So I got question marks there. I need to see more Tavon Austin. More Tavon Austin, please. Special teams was gashed on that 91-yard touchdown on that punt return by Travis Benjamin. Can't happen. And I'm surprised because I didn't see a Rams defender for about 50 yards on this play. I mean, it was bad. I mean, the whole left side of the football field was cleared out. It was a convoy and an escort to the end zone. Rams have to be better on special teams than that. Of course, you've got a couple of guys that are injured, a few guys that probably won't be on the special teams unit, but I don't care. Put a better product on the field than that. That was abysmal. Can't happen anymore. Look at Sam Bradford, who hits Chris Givens on a 59-yard hookup on a play-action fake. The play-action fake itself was ugly, but the end result was a thing of beauty. Sam Bradford drops back, and here we go again. Offensive line with extra protection. I mean, these guys were blocking up front. Very pleased with what the Rams put forth offensively on this offensive line. I thought they did a wonderful job of protecting Sam Bradford. He was under siege once or twice in this game, but for the most part, they did their job and they did it well. Allowed Bradford to go up top, find Givens streaking down the field. Sam Bradford hit him in stride, 59-yard pickup. 3 plays later, Chris Givens is in the end zone with a 5-yard touchdown reception. And so Sam Bradford caps off his night with a touchdown. I thought Bradford could have had a couple of other completions. Some guys letting him down. Pettis dropped a pass. Austin dropped a pass. You had guys not stepping up, making plays for him. So from that standpoint, I really think Sam Bradford had a really, really good night. I thought he trusts this offensive line. His offensive line looked really good. And if they can continue to protect him, he's going to do some big things in 2013. A couple of other little notes before we get out of here. I like Stedman Bailey. Thought he caught the ball really well in this football game. And I also really, really like Austin Davis, your backup quarterback. Think that he's a nice, young, solid piece to have behind Sam Bradford. Nothing like 2 young quarterbacks that can play the position. And I think with some more seasoning, Austin Davis could be a heck of a backup for the St. Louis Rams. And that's what I saw in the first preseason game for the St. Louis Rams.
Like the content? Want more? Sub up.